Hi, I'm Brian Smallwood. I'm the head coach for the boys and girls varsity tennis teams at Hawken School. And today, welcome by the way, and today we're going to be going over our first installment with forehands, and each installment will go over different levels. So we're going to start off with a beginner level, and before we get started, for those of you who have never played before, I wanted to take a moment just to explain the different kinds of balls and rackets that you should have for different ages. To start off with, if you are 4 to 6 years old, you would be using a 21-inch racket, and you would be using a red ball. The different balls come in different colors based on the kind of compression they have, and what the compression does is it tells you how much the ball is going to bounce when it hits the ground. The second racket that you would use would be ages 6 to 8 with a 23-inch racket and an orange ball. And the orange ball bounces slightly higher, and most kids start off with this when they're in camps. Some are a little bit younger and they would use the 21 in the red. And then the next size up would be a 25-inch racket. Most 25-inch racket users use a green dot ball, but they can also use a 26-inch racket, which is also the kind of racket that our supermodel is using today on forehands. I'd like to introduce you to my assistant, Daria Statsevich. Daria, can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
I'm in 2nd grade and I'm 7 years old.
What school do you go to, Daria?
Bertrand School of Hawken.
Yay! Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the technique for a forehand first, and then Daria is going to show us how she hits her forehand. So one of the first things that we want to try to go over, and this is for all levels, the way that most people learn how to hit a forehand, and especially if they're younger, is people have the racket go straight down in the back, and the racket head is below the level of the hips, and when they come through they make contact at the waist, and then they go through over the shoulder when they finish. What I like to say outside with the little kids especially is the racket goes from the knees to the trees, okay? But what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually cover the way I'd like to teach the forehand right from the start, and it's gonna have to do with the grip numbers. And it's okay if you do it the first way, from the knees to the trees, especially if you're younger and you're learning for the first time, that would work too. But I'd like to go over the grip real quick. On a racket, on the end of a racket, there are 8 sides, and when we do this, we always do it with the racket up and down, and not with the racket from right to left, but up and down. On this, you will see 8 bevels. The top bevel being 1, the next one 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Those bevels connect to the panels that go up the handle. This is 1, so remember this is 1, and so is this. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and so on around to 8. What we line up on those numbers is this index finger knuckle, this knuckle right here. A lot of people think it's this knuckle, but it's not. It's this base knuckle on your right hand. When you go to hit a forehand, you're actually going to put that knuckle on the 3.5 mark, and the ridges between the panels tell you what number that is. So we line up for 3, 1, 2, 3, and then there's a ridge. That's where that knuckle is going to be. So for a forehand grip, even when you're young, even when you're a beginner, we want to start you with this 3.5 grip. What we're going to do on every single stroke that we do is we're going to go through 3 phases of a stroke. We're going to go through the preparation, we're going to go through the hitting phase, and we're also going to go through the follow through and the recovery. So for a forehand, we would start out in front of our body with a ready position. The ready position is away from the body, and when we turn sideways, we're going to turn with that ready position with our 3.5 grip, and our racket is going to drop down and start the hitting phase where you will come through and make contact at your waist. After you make contact, you would follow through over the left shoulder and catch the racket. So once again, there's 3 parts. There's the preparation, and then the drop, and then the hitting phase, and then the follow through and finish. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to watch Daria hit some forehands Daria's using a 26-inch racket, and she uses green dot balls. Two more. Okay. Great job, Daria. So that's how you start off trying to learn to hit a forehand. And as you get better, you want to progress to not only going away from the net, but also deeper into the court. Two things that we want to mention as beginners, and especially for kids that are younger, are spacing. And what that means is that when the ball comes to you, you've got to get off to the side of the ball. So when I go to hit my forehand, I'm going to turn and get off to the side because I have my body, my arm, and then my racket when I make contact with the ball. So you don't run right at it like a soccer ball. Two, when the ball comes in, can I see a ball, please? When a ball comes in, a ball will come in and the ball will bounce. After the ball bounces, the ball goes up and the ball peaks. After it peaks, it comes all the way down, and we want to make contact at what level?
At
Your hips, right? Yeah, right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually move Daria back a little bit, and she's still gonna start right here at the service line, but we're gonna move her back, and as she moves back, you'll see that she adjusts for the height and lets the ball drop at her hips. Okay, good job, Daria. And so as players get better, you can lengthen how far they are back away from the net, but what you can also do is you can feed further away from them. So what we're gonna do with Daria, because she's a pretty good player, we're gonna actually back her up about halfway, about here. Yep. And we're also gonna feed the ball a little bit further away from her. And what she's going to do is after she hits a ball, she's gonna strike a ball, she's going to recover as a part of her recovery phase by shuffling back to the middle. We're also going to get the engine running with the feet. There they go. And here we go. Okay, good job, Daria. Nice job, way to go. Hey. Okay, so that's how we hit forehands when we get started. And what you may want to do is if you're younger or if you have trouble tracking the ball, you can start closer. You can use the red ball, you can use orange balls. But if you only have yellow balls, which are normal balls, I would recommend really working on trying to get away from it and tracking the ball so that when you first get started, you get a feel for the spacing that's required to set up for a tennis ball. As in closing, what we're going to do is we're going to back Daria all the way up to the baseline, because this is the hope. The baseline is the back line on a tennis court, so she's going to back up all the way here. And she's going to hit 5 more forehands for us as a grand finale. Here we go. You ready? Get that engine started. Yep. Yep. Good job. Okay, well, thanks for joining us for our first beginner lesson of the forehand. We'll see you next time where we're going to learn the backhand, and we'll try to put both together. See you later.